Chapter 22 to 41, Syrup Village Arc. Arriving at Syrup Village, where they are immediately greeted by Captain Usopp and his 8,000 men crew, or at least that's what he calls himself and his 3 kid followers. Usopp is a well-known liar in the village. Pretty much he is the kid who cried wolf, but in this case, it would be the kid who cried pirates. They learn that Usopp is the son of Yasopp, one of the members of Shank's crew, so they become friends easily. Usopp's stories entertain the village but also annoy some residents. His wealthy friend Kaya is confined to her bed and cared for by her butlers Klahadore and Mary. However, Klahadore is actually the pirate captain Kuro plotting to steal from Kaya and retire. Even though Usopp learned Kuro's secret, Kuro allows Usopp to flee thinking no one will believe him, which proves true when Usopp tries to warn the village. The Straw Hats decide to help Usopp warn the village and trap Kuro and his crew. On the night of the attack, Kuro reveals his true identity to Mary and attacks him. Zoro gets stuck in Nami's trap while Usopp and Nami initially fight Kuro's crew alone. Luffy and Zoro arrive and battle the pirates. Kaya realizes the truth about Klahadore and confronts him but is overpowered. Usopp is seriously injured protecting her. Zoro defeats his opponents and rescues Kaya and the children with Usopp's help. Nami wakes up Luffy, who stops Kuro's weapon. An angered Luffy defeats Kuro, forcing the pirates to leave. Usopp decides to keep the pirate attack a secret from the village to maintain peace. Kaya, realizing her illness was due to sadness, gifts the Straw Hats her ship, the Going Merry, in gratitude. Usopp joins the crew as their sharpshooter. The Straw Hats leave Syrup Village on their new ship to continue their journey. Now the Straw Hats are finally sailing in a real ship with a real Jolly Roger. This is really the official beginning of the Straw Hat Pirates. Chapter 42 to 68, Baratie Arc. The arc begins with Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and Usopp checking out their new pirate ship as well as designing a Jolly Roger for it. As a test of the ship's capabilities, Luffy and Usopp test out one of the cannons on board by shooting at a rock formation. However, unbeknownst to them, 2 pirate hunters happen to be on said rock, and one of them attacks the ship in retaliation. Luffy fights him, but Zoro points him out to be a friend of his. It is here the Straw Hat Pirates meet Johnny and Yosaku, who were on the rock that was shot at. After the Straw Hats apologize and Nami cures Yosaku of his scurvy, the crew realizes that they are going to need a cook for the ship to maintain the healthy quality of their food stores before they can go to the Grand Line. To repay the favor for helping them, Johnny and Yosaku tell the crew of a floating restaurant in the middle of the ocean where they might find a cook and then help navigate the crew to said restaurant, the Baratie. As soon as they get there, the group runs into trouble with a Marine Lieutenant Fullbody. In the scuffle between the two, Luffy accidentally redirects a cannonball into the Baratie's roof. While Luffy tries to make a deal with the captain, head chef, and owner of the ship, Zeph, to pay for the damages caused to the roof, we meet Sanji, the assistant chef. Sanji has an encounter with Fullbody as well, and almost kills Fullbody for insulting the Baratie's food. However, an even bigger incident occurs when a pirate named Gin comes onto the ship demanding food. Although denied food, beaten and thrown out of the restaurant by the crew, Sanji secretly serves the man a savory meal, saving Gin from starvation. Despite this act of kindness, when Gin leaves and returns to his ship, he tells Don Krieg about the Baratie. After hearing about the ship, Don Krieg comes to believe that taking over the Baratie is a key step in resurrecting his fleet. Eventually, Krieg comes to the restaurant under the pretense that he will not hurt anyone if he receives some food. Of course, Krieg attacks the cooks on board and claims the Baratie as his own, since his original ship and his entire fleet were destroyed 7 days into the Grand Line by a mysterious figure. Just as important, his crew is on the verge of death from starvation. Surprisingly, Zeph gives a sack of food to Krieg and warns his cooks about the upcoming battle. The Baratie raises the battle fins, which protect the restaurant part of the Baratie, and the cooks and the Krieg pirates begin to fight. In the midst of the battle, Luffy and the other male Straw Hat members try to get the Going Merry away from the battle. Only then do they realize that Nami double-crossed them and stole their ship and treasure. Usopp, Johnny, and Yosaku prepare to go after her. However, their plans are brought to a halt when Krieg's galleon is suddenly sliced in half. Through the wreckage of the ship's sails, the mysterious figure that Zoro instantly recognizes as Dracula Hawkeye's Mihawk, one of the Shichibukai, and the best swordsman in the world. Zoro decides to try and defeat Mihawk to gain the title of best swordsman in the world, but is clearly outmatched by Mihawk's strength. However, Zoro impresses Mihawk with his courage and honor. As a result, Mihawk spares Zoro's life. After the loss, Zoro vows never to lose again before setting off with the other Straw Hats to go after Nami, while Luffy stays behind to help the Baratie, with Zeph accepting Luffy's request for his debt to be repaid as the reward for Luffy's assistance against the Krieg pirates. With that, Mihawk disappears, and Krieg directs his attention back to the Baratie. The cooks find that Krieg's pirates are not pushovers, and the battle is not going well for the Baratie's cooks, at least until Sanji joins the fray. However, the tide turns back in Krieg's favor when his second mate, Ironwall Pearl, arrives. At first, Sanji has the upper hand, but after Pearl almost burns down the ship, Gin is forced to hold Zeph at gunpoint to keep Sanji from fighting back, and Pearl thrashes Sanji around. It is during this point we learn about Sanji's past. Surprisingly, Gin saves Sanji from Pearl, claiming he wanted to kill the cook. The two fight briefly, but with Sanji still injured from his fight with Pearl, Gin gains the upper hand. However, Gin cannot bring himself to kill Sanji, which makes Krieg furious. As a result, he tries to kill Gin with a poison gas grenade known as MH5. Gin barely survives. This act upsets Luffy, and he attacks Krieg. What follows is a long fight on the wreckage of Krieg's ship. Krieg uses everything in his armor's arsenal to kill Luffy. However, Luffy counters and powers through each weapon, finally finishing off Krieg by slamming him into the side of the Baratie with his legs. However, Krieg's final attack with his iron net sends Luffy into the ocean. Sanji saves Luffy from the ocean, and Gin and the rest of Krieg's pirates sail away on a small dinghy. Zeph and his cooks try to persuade Sanji to leave by telling him a soup he cooked tasted awful. Sanji almost falls for it, but then overhears them when they actually say it tastes delicious. Although he remembers his dream of the All Blue and finally agrees to join Luffy's crew. Just as he makes his decision, Yosaku comes back and warns Luffy that Nami headed towards a dangerous island. Zeph and the Baratie cooks all give Sanji a tearful send-off before he, Luffy, and Yosaku head out to catch up with the others.